Hey, what's up everyone? I'm JCM and this is JCM Rides. Today we're going to be taking a look at my first electric bike. This is the K6 Pro by EUY Bike. That's quite a mouthful, full of vowels that kind of all jumble together and roll into one. And according to their website, it's an acronym that stands for Excellent, Ultra Fast, Young. Doesn't translate very well to English, whatever they're trying to go for. I'm just gonna say I don't think it's a very marketable name, but that's my opinion, and to each their own. I've had this bike for I think 48 or 49 days now. I have about 590.7 miles. I will eclipse 600 miles ridden on this bike today. And this is what I think about this bike. As a first-time rider who's never ridden an electric bike, who's never owned one, and I paid for this 100% with my own money. I'm not sponsored by EUY Bike. I'm not sponsored by anybody else. I'm not sponsored by any competitor or rival that's trying to make them look bad either. I'm here giving you my own 100% honest opinion and experience here. So hopefully that can help you make a better decision whether you have this on your short list or not. Also, if you're just a first-time rider in general and you're not even considering this bike, I think you will find some benefits in this video of what you may encounter or expect in your first 2 months or so with an electric bike. Okay, so let's talk about pros. Right off the bat, it's got a 1,000-watt motor. I think it's a Bafang. Here you go, you can see here it says 1,000 watt on there somewhere. 1,000-watt rear hub motor. It's pretty powerful. I don't have anything to compare it to because, like I said, I've never ridden another e-bike. I've never owned one. I would love to compare it to some of these other ones, especially like these 750-watt motors, these 500-watt motors, and see how it compares, because I think it's good. I think it's a pro of this bike for sure, as far as when you're looking at raw specs. But I will tell you that as you get riding, and if you're like me and you have like a need for speed, you will want more. You will want more than that. But if you're just like looking for something to casually cruise with, it's more than enough. I've hit top speeds on flat ground around like 32, maybe 33. Fastest I've ever recorded on this bike was going downhill. I think I got like 41, 42 miles per hour, something like that. I got a lot of hills here in my area, but most of the time when I'm riding on flat ground, I would say usually getting between 26, 27 miles per hour, sometimes 28. Another big pro is the battery. It has a 48 volt, 25 amp hour Samsung lithium battery in here. You know, Samsung makes some of the best batteries in the game, so it's good to know that there are Samsung batteries in here. And I also like that it is internal to the frame, so it's locked in here, nice and safe. Nobody can just steal it. You need a key to pull it out, but it has a nice convenient charge port on the side, so you never need to pull it out unless you're doing some kind of maintenance or something, or pulling it out to charge or take with you. To me, those are like the two big pros for my checklist. A few other ones, you know, it's got this really plush seat. This seat is very comfortable, though I will tell you it takes some getting used to, especially if you're not much of a bike rider. But once you've kind of gotten used to it, it is very comfortable. Very wide seating, is very squishy. I like it. Another thing, it has a rear cargo rack. You see I got this little trunk bag I put on it. Got that for like 13, 14 bucks on Amazon. And you know, the cargo rack, I think that was a critical thing I had to have on my bike. And then another thing is that it's foldable. So I wanted to be able to fold this and put it into my tiny little 2020 Mazda 3 hatchback. And I seen a lot of reviews out there and stuff, people talking about how big and bulky it was even when it folds. And yes, it is big and bulky even when you fold it. I'm not gonna fold it right now because I have this wrench tight, and I recommend you do the same when you ride, because if you just hand tighten right there, it will come loose during your ride. Not that I think it's gonna fold up on me while I'm riding, but you never know. If you got in a bad wreck, it might fold up on you. Kind of dangerous, so highly recommend tightening that with a wrench. I have to fold my back seats down to get it into the back as well, but as long as I can put it in my car and take it with me somewhere to go on a ride, then that suits my need. But one thing you do have to do is you got to fold these handlebars down. If you look at their website, they show you pictures and the handlebars are folded down to the front. So I loosen these two, fold them down, Another big pro is the hydraulic brakes. It's got 180mm rotors. They're really good. We're not going to be doing any testing of any of that stuff right now because I have been doing some maintenance on the brakes and they are not working as good as they were when I first got the bike. But I will tell you, if you watched any of the other kind of reviews, unboxings, or benchmark type videos, I'll say the brakes work just like they show in those videos. Pretty much all that stuff, like the top speed, the acceleration, I've seen in quite a few videos, is all pretty accurate to my experience. And then another thing I like is this nice big bright headlight. So it's got some daytime running lights. It kind of runs this outer ring, and then these big ones right here turn on when you turn on the night light. Can't see it very good right now. It's here early morning time, but it definitely lights up the path ahead of me, no problem. Makes me see very easily. I really like the headlight. It is one of the sexiest headlights I have seen on an electric bike. Yeah, I love the whole design about it. I love how big it is. Cars think I'm a motorcycle and all that. I do like the handlebars, the BMX style. And then you got the front and rear suspension. It's got these forks here, and I don't know how this stuff works right here. You got the compression. I think this is preload or something. You know, I don't really know how to tune it. I've just kind of rode it how it is, and it's been good for me. The rear suspension is pretty stiff. Don't really feel much squishiness. The seat also has some shock absorption here, right, which is nice. Overall, when I'm going over rocky, bumpy terrain, whatever, it's a pretty comfortable ride overall, but it could be better. I've seen bikes that definitely have better rear suspension, but at least it has it, right? So it wasn't really my biggest concern. My last two pros, I would say, are two big pros as well: style and fun factor. So first off, the style. I really love the style here. It's got this nice, you know, kind of big, thick single bar right here. I don't love the branding. I mean, the font and everything looks cool. You got this like kind of futuristic looking electrical symbol here in the E of EUY Bike, but EUY Bike, like I said, doesn't roll off the tongue very well at all. So I wish they would have put like K6 Pro. When I first seen it, I thought this said Cyber Bike, kind of like the Cyber Truck. You know, it's got a similar color scheme, looks futuristic. Would be really cool if Tesla put out a Cyber Bike. I really like the style. It's just, you know, got a futuristic look to it, and the big headlight really, you know, is like the cherry on top with the style here. Fun factor, well, this should be the case with every electric bike, and I know some more so than others, and that's why I went ahead and got in a 1000-watt motor. The more power, the more fun, if you ask me. Besides that, we're going to get into some things I don't like about this bike. There's three things I don't like about this bike, and let's start with the chain. As you can see a second ago, I just put the chain back on. I guess it fell off when I rode out here. I would say every time I go for a ride, which is about for an hour, and I do about 15 to 20 miles each ride, I end up putting the chain back on 3 to 4 times every single ride for no particular rhyme or reason. I'm going off-road right now. It's not popping off. It hasn't popped off. Oh, I'm even going over this crazy stuff. Oh, look, it's popping off. You see that? But oh, I was able to fix it. You can go over like the slightest bump, or you could be rolling on the smoothest surface and just be lightly pedaling and it just pop off. It's a minor frustration, but it happens enough for me to say that that's a legit con of this bike. My second biggest complaint about this bike is the battery life. Most of this is due to their marketing, and this is going to be the same with every electric bike out there. They're gonna make outrageous claims that their bike goes for so long, and then you get it and you ride it. Your real world experience of that claim falls well short. It's all marketing bullshit is what's happening. So they say that this bike has 80 to 88 mile max range on pedal assist. They say it has a range of 50 to 55 miles on throttle only. I'll tell you right now, so I live in Southern California. We have a lot of hills. Oftentimes I will go on a ride and I'll come home and I'll see I got like 1,000 feet of elevation gained on my ride. So if you live in a very flat terrain, like, I don't know, Florida or something like that, you might get a lot better range. But it seems even when I go on pretty flat rides, it seems like I'm still getting about the same range on my battery. It's almost like I actually did a test the other day where I went and hit a bunch of hills and then kind of rode out here in some flat area, and I actually got better range when I hit all the hills than I did without it. And that might be because I also went down the hills too, so maybe that just didn't take any battery to go down the hills and it kind of evened itself out. But 50 to 55 miles on this bike, no way. I don't think I could do that on completely flat terrain and never gain a foot of elevation. The longest ride I've ever completed on this from 100% to 0% battery was 26.6 miles, and that was with quite a bit of hills and stuff involved. That was the longest I've ever been able to go on this bike before it died. Your mileage will vary. Also keep in mind, I'm 6'3", I weigh 200 pounds. If you're lighter than me, you might get some better mileage. If you're heavier than me, you probably get worse. But 26.6 was the best I've gotten on this bike to date, and that's with over 500, almost 600 miles ridden on it. So now for the third con, I saved the worst for last, and that is the wheels slash tires on this bike. If you have a keen eye, you'll see that I have been riding with a different set of tires than what's included. When I first got this bike, straight out of the box, both tubes were bad. Right after I assembled the bike, I inflated the tires. I went for a ride for maybe like 2 miles just around my neighborhood to get a feel for the bike. I got back and I could press in with, like, I could squeeze it in with both hands. They have, you know, lost significant pressure, and I had pumped them up all the way to 30 psi, the maximum psi. I park it in my garage for the night. I come back in the next morning, my bike is laying on the ground because both tires were completely flat. I reach out to EUY Bike. They were pretty responsive. They sent me a pair of replacement tubes. I didn't know how long they were gonna take to get here, so I overnighted 4 inner tubes on Amazon because I wanted to ride my brand new bike. Their tubes got here a couple days later, but none of that solved the issue. I kept getting flat after flat after flat. So if y'all thought I was kidding, I'm not. 1 tube, 2, 3. Oh yeah, that's a bad one right there. 4, 5, 6, and 7. The 8th one I threw away. I did some investigation. I started searching for the leaks on the tubes, and I found at least one coming through the valve stem, right at the base of the valve stem where it goes through the rim. When I pulled the tube out, the rim tape was stretched around that hole, and it was exposing the metal to it. And I took some pictures, I sent it to EUY Bike, and they say, oh, it must be the rim. We will send you a replacement rim. They then ghosted me for a good week or so. I say, hey, what's going on with the replacement rim? They reply simply with a FedEx tracking number. So I contact them again and say, hey, the tracking number hasn't changed. It still says awaiting item. It's been like 8 or 9 days now. They respond back and it ships out within 2 days. I get it in the mail, open it up, and they sent me the wrong rim. It was a mag wheel for a different one of their bikes. So I contact them again. I'm like, hey, I appreciate you guys sending me the rim. However, you guys sent me a mag wheel. This is for a completely different bike. I try to make it work, but it just doesn't match the back rim, and that's not what I paid for it. They're like, okay, we'll send you the right one this time. They send me the right one. It comes with the same exact tire. The only difference is it had a 160 millimeter rotor on it. I haven't put it on the bike yet because I bought the new tires. And since I've had the new tires, I haven't had any issues on the front wheel. So we're just gonna hold off on that until the time comes that I need a new rim. Now this was really frustrating, having 8 flat tires. Changing one twice a week, taking the wheels off. It's not too bad on the front, but on the rear, you have to disconnect the motor. You have to, you know, you have the whole gears back there and the chain you got to deal with. So there's a lot more moving parts on the rear wheel that make it take, you know, at least twice as long to swap. I will admit to a couple of them being my fault or the fault of the road. One of them I had a screw puncture my rear wheel as I was riding, straight in the middle of it, and it went all the way in. My tire went flat instantly. I had to call my wife to come pick me up because I was several miles away. So that was the first time I was really glad I bought a foldable, because if I had bought the moped style version of this, the S4 or something that doesn't fold, I would have been screwed. There was at least 2 more that were caused by what are called goat head stickers. If you live in the southwestern US, I hear they're all over the place, but the plants will grow right along the sidewalks and stuff like that too, so you can run over one anywhere. You know, you have to also keep in mind when you're riding these bike lanes and stuff, all the debris from the road comes over to the side and makes it a place where you might run over glass, nails, screws, goat head stickers, you name it. So because of that, I had to spend $115 and upgrade the tires to tires that are hopefully going to last me a while and not have me changing my tubes twice a week. I've had them for about 2 weeks now, and I haven't had to change the tubes yet, but I'm not here to do a review on those tires. But I'm just bringing that up to show you my process of elimination, that after a couple weeks without having to swap out the tubes, I think it was the tires more so than the rim or the wheels or whatever. So in conclusion, my final thoughts on this bike: do I recommend it? Do I not recommend it? Well, I'm gonna leave it like this. I don't recommend this bike, but I don't not recommend it either. There's the chance that I just got a lemon with some issues that I had to work out myself. Maybe I would have saved myself some frustration if I bought from a different company, but I'm not gonna sit here and make those claims when I haven't experienced it myself. I just know what I have experienced with this bike, and it wasn't pleasant. So they could have better quality control or better quality components in general. It's not beyond imagination that they would have to take some shortcuts somewhere to get it to the price point that it was at, but that doesn't make it acceptable either. Anyways, I hope you guys have found this video informative and it helps you in your search for picking out your first e-bike, whether it's this one or a different one, and that it helps prepare you for potential issues you might encounter in the first couple months. Also, I want to thank you guys for staying here until the end of the video. If you guys want to like, comment, subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Leave the comments down below if you have any similar issues like this, or if you're more experienced and you want to leave me any tips or whatever. And thanks again for tuning in. Peace out, guys.